It is an active site, and we have a lot of potential trip hazards out there, a lot of equipment moving around, guys carrying anything that possibly could hurt you would if you weren't paying attention. So just wanted to really stress that so that we all kind of stay together. This is the stormwater pond, which is the tail end of the site. Everything else kind of lays up to the west, which we'll walk up there and take a look.
Did you say anything about?
No, don't say anything. What's kind of represented here is these drainage structures are on outside the gauge of the rail. So the M2 basically comes right here between these two catch basins, and M1 is on the other side of that catch basin. And of course they go right directly into the big overhead doors. So just to get a simple layout of, and as we get down to the other end, it's essentially a mirror image of this same 3-track setup and how it ties back into the main line about 700 feet or so from door face to where it ties in. NEPRA purchased about 3 to 4 years ago, purchased all the rail for this project and had it stored on the other side of Church Road. Okay. And Main Track had been cutting it into the segments that are going to be essentially the pieces that are to make up the track, and they've got it all here positioned for when they return to put it into play. Substantial completion, as we're calling it, is September 1st. Yeah. Yet there'll be a series of testing and all that'll happen through September, early October, for the start of service after our tie job. We have a tie job that's going to happen in mid-October through early November and end before Thanksgiving. And then once that tie job's complete, the third round trip that is the result of this facility that will be when that third round trip comes online. They'll come up and they'll basically qualify coming up in the yard, because by their SOP they're going to have to bring it to a definite stop at the entrance to the doorway so they can control power, and then they'll proceed into the building with the clearance from the Drum Act personnel. And then they of course have to come to rest without going through the other end. It'll be able to handle a 6-car set, which, as you probably know, we typically now run 4s and 5s, 5s being generally the bigger, 6 on vacations when it really expected high flow. And the entire building is 655 feet long, and that 6-car set fits in with about 10 feet either end to be able to get around with the buggies that we envision that will kind of navigate within the building.
Watch your step coming in. You really can't see it.
And just for an understanding of the air handling, these things deal with the exhaust straight off the top of the train, but the other ductworks that we're witness to up in the peak and along the walls, those are the air exchange system, and every 4 times an hour it has a changeover of all the volume of air by design. It's a requirement of the industry. The entire floor is oil water separator. It's all a drip pan that is typical to Portland, but the entire floor of this, so that if all the drip spills, whatever, will go into the floor drains, which tie into here, and ultimately go into the oil water separator before they go into the Brunswick sanitary system. So it's everything within the building is ready for whatever hits the floor, essentially. So anything mechanical is going to live in this room, basically. This end is for flexibility and switching equipment and whatever else it might need to do.
The building is overwhelming. The workmanship, the materials, and then the time and energy to reach this point. 3 years of waiting for it to be built. But the facility itself and all of the things that it does for the daily trains is it's just, when people joke about, you think it's easy running a railroad, just imagine this segment that nobody ever sees, just to keep those trains running so that people can have a cup of hot coffee or have a flush to use and comfortable seats to sit in. It's an amazing building. Should be an example. This is the latest technology, obviously. It may, at this point, be the only one of its kind. This should allow expansion not just to Brunswick, but other services in other parts of the state and outside the state. But this facility can do it all. The future has been built into this building. So again, thanks to the Rail Authority and its director for thinking ahead, because this is amazing.